This is 98.3 FM, Outbreak FM. David Morgan here. It's 1:47 p.m. on what started as an ordinary Tuesday afternoon in September. And I need everyone listening to understand that what I'm about to tell you is not a drill. This is not a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is real. And it's happening right now. Sarah just handed me the first reports. At 12:33 p.m., approximately 74 minutes ago, emergency services received multiple calls about a violent disturbance at Central Metro Hospital. Initial reports described a patient attacking medical staff in the emergency department. Hospital security responded. The situation escalated, and then it spread. I'm going to be direct with you because that's what you need right now. Not speculation. Not rumors. Facts. Here's what we know. The patient in question had been declared deceased at 12:19 p.m. 14 minutes later, that same patient sat up, became violently aggressive, and attacked a nurse. When security attempted to restrain the individual, they exhibited unusual strength, non-responsiveness to pain, and what witnesses are describing as animalistic behavior. The nurse who was attacked, she's showing symptoms. Severe fever, disorientation, aggression. It's been 43 minutes since she was bitten. She's already exhibiting the same behavior as her attacker. Whatever this is, it spreads fast. Extremely fast. Sarah's monitoring police scanners right now, and the numbers are climbing. We're tracking 17 separate incidents across the metropolitan area, all within the last hour. All describing similar behavior. Individuals attacking others, biting, exhibiting no response to verbal commands or physical restraint. The infection pattern is consistent, and that's what terrifies me. One infected person creates multiple new infected through bites. Those new infected spread it further. We're looking at exponential growth in real time. This isn't linear. This is geometric progression. 1 becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8. The mathematics of this are absolutely devastating. 1:53 p.m. The mayor's office just released a statement. Sarah's reading it to me now. The city is experiencing isolated incidents of civil disturbance. There's no cause for public alarm. Emergency services are responding. Residents should remain calm and avoid affected areas. Isolated incidents. That's the official narrative. But from what we're seeing on scanners, from the reports flooding in from every corner of the city, this is not isolated. This is distributed across multiple neighborhoods, multiple demographics, multiple infection vectors. This is pattern. This is outbreak. And calling it civil disturbance is either complete ignorance or intentional minimization designed to prevent panic. Either way, it's dangerous. People need accurate information to make survival decisions. Downplaying the threat costs lives. 2:04 p.m. We just got our first call from a listener. Her name is Jennifer. She's at Westfield Shopping Center. She's hiding in a storage room behind the food court. She says people are attacking shoppers. She's terrified. Her voice is shaking. She describes them as sick and crazy and not listening to anything anyone says. She watched a security guard get bitten, go down bleeding, and then within minutes get back up and attack other people. She's asking us what to do, where to go, how to stay safe. What's happening? Is this real? Please help me. Please tell me what's happening. Sarah's telling her to stay hidden. Lock the door if there's a lock. If not, barricade it with whatever's available in that storage room. Shelving units, boxes, anything that adds mass between her and the door. Stay quiet. Don't make noise. Don't draw attention to her position. Wait for emergency services. But we both know, Sarah, and I both know even as we're giving this advice, that emergency services are overwhelmed. The response times we're hearing on scanners are 20 minutes minimum and climbing. 20 minutes is an eternity when infected are hunting through a shopping mall. In 20 minutes, Jennifer might be dead. Or worse, she might be one of them. 2:11 p.m. Dr. Marcus Chun from Central Metro Hospital is on the line. He's an emergency room physician. 23 years of experience. He's been treating patients since this started. He's worked through everything. Gang violence, mass casualty incidents, infectious disease outbreaks. He's seen it all. And Sarah can hear in his voice that he's never seen anything like this. She's putting him on our broadcast. This is Dr. Chun. I need the public to understand the severity of the situation. We are experiencing a highly contagious pathogen with rapid onset symptoms. Transmission appears to occur through blood and saliva contact, primarily via bites. Infected individuals become extremely aggressive within minutes of exposure. They exhibit no pain response and attack anyone in proximity. We've had patients come in with bites, and before we can treat them, they're turning violent. It's happening on our treatment tables, in our waiting rooms. We can't contain it. If you are bitten, seek medical attention immediately. But I need to be honest with you, we don't have a treatment. We don't have a cure. We're documenting symptoms and trying to understand transmission vectors, but we can't stop the progression once someone's infected. Sarah's asking him the question we're all thinking. The question that sounds insane but needs to be asked. Doctor, are the dead coming back to life? Dr. Chun pauses. 10 seconds of dead air. I can hear him breathing. Hear the chaos in the background of wherever he is. Medical equipment beeping. People shouting. Then his voice, measured and careful. We have documented cases of patients who were clinically deceased, showing motor function and aggressive behavior after death was pronounced. Patients with no pulse, no respiration, no measurable brain activity on our monitors. And then they move. They attack. I cannot explain the mechanism. I can only confirm the observation. Yes, the dead are reanimating. And when they do, they're no longer the people they were. They attack the living indiscriminately. We've lost 3 nurses in the last 40 minutes, 2 security personnel. And the number keeps climbing. There it is. Official confirmation from a medical professional. A doctor with 2 decades of experience telling us that the dead are coming back. This is not civil disturbance. This is not mass hysteria. This is something we don't have a name for yet. Something that violates everything we understand about biology and death and the fundamental nature of reality. The dead walk. And they hunt the living. 2:19 p.m. Sarah and I are making a decision right now. We're suspending all regular programming. Music, talk shows, advertisements, commercial breaks, station identification, everything is canceled. Outbreak FM is going into continuous emergency broadcast mode. As long as this crisis continues, as long as people need information, we're staying on air. 24 hours a day if necessary. We'll coordinate, we'll inform. We'll help people survive however we can. This is what we're trained for. Crisis communication, emergency information dissemination. We've done drills, studied protocols, attended seminars on disaster response and public information management. But drills don't prepare you for the reality, for the fear in people's voices when they call, for the sounds of screaming in the background of police scanner transmissions, for the knowledge that what you say in the next 60 seconds might be the difference between someone living or dying, for the weight of being the voice that people trust when everything else is falling apart. This is real, and we're going to do it right because lives depend on accuracy. 2:27 p.m. The first confirmed death count is coming through official channels. Police are reporting at least 12 fatalities from violent encounters in the last 90 minutes. 12 dead, but that's just the body count. How many of those 12 stayed dead? How many reanimated? How many are now infected, spreading this further? The fatality count is just one metric. We need to track infection rate, reanimation rate. The true measure of this outbreak spread is not just who dies, but who comes back. We're also hearing reports that some hospitals are implementing lockdown procedures, not accepting new patients, sealing emergency departments, turning away ambulances. They're being overwhelmed by infected individuals who were brought in for treatment and then turned violent inside medical facilities. The very places we tell people to go for safety are becoming infection zones. Central Metro, Riverside General, St. Francis, all reporting they're at capacity with violent patients and can't accept additional casualties. The medical system is failing. Hour 2. Already failing. The infrastructure we depend on for healthcare is collapsing under the weight of something it was never designed to handle. 2:36 p.m. Traffic is gridlocking downtown. Everyone who heard the mayor's avoid affected areas statement is leaving simultaneously. The highways are parking lots. Bumper to bumper for miles. People abandoning their vehicles when traffic stops moving completely. Some are walking, some are running, carrying whatever they grabbed in their rush to evacuate. Panic is setting in. The initial shock is wearing off. Reality is penetrating. And people are making the rational decision to flee urban areas where infection density is highest. But here's the problem we're seeing develop in real time. Fleeing spreads infection. If you're bitten in the city and you get in your car and drive to the suburbs before symptoms appear, you take the infection with you. You turn in your car, in your driveway, in your new location. You become patient zero in a new outbreak zone. Evacuation without screening creates multiple new epidemic centers. And screening is impossible because symptoms appear in minutes, and we have no test for infection before symptoms manifest. But how do you screen? How do you test for infection that shows symptoms in minutes and kills in hours? There's no time, no infrastructure, no protocol for this. We're making it up as we go. 2:47 p.m. Sarah's fielding calls from listeners who are asking variations of the same question. Is this really happening? Is this a hoax? Are the dead really walking? Is this some kind of terrorist attack? Is this a movie publicity stunt? And I understand the denial. I understand the desperate hope that this is elaborate prank, mass hallucination, coordinated theater, anything except the reality that the world just fundamentally changed in the space of 2 hours. But I'm looking at the evidence accumulating in front of me. Multiple credible sources. Medical professionals with decades of experience. Law enforcement officers trained to handle crisis situations. Video footage on social media showing individuals exhibiting consistent abnormal behavior across dozens of different locations. The pattern is too widespread, too coordinated, too well documented by too many independent sources to be hoax. This is real. Accepting that is step 1. Everything else flows from acceptance. Denial gets you killed. Acceptance gives you a chance to adapt, to survive, to make decisions based on reality instead of hope. 2:58 p.m. We're getting our first reports of people taking defensive measures. A gun store on the east side is reporting a line of customers stretching around the block. 300 people waiting to buy weapons. The store owner says he's selling out of firearms within minutes of opening the cases. Handguns gone, rifles gone, shotguns going fast. Ammunition selling faster than he can restock shelves. This is panic buying. This is preparation for violence. People are accepting that they might need to fight, to kill, to defend their lives against things that used to be human. And here's a reality we need to address head on. Most people have never killed anything. Never fired a gun in self-defense. Never been in a physical fight for their lives. The psychological barrier to violence is significant. It's hardwired into us through evolution and socialization. Can you aim at something that looks human and pull the trigger? Can you do it when that thing is wearing your neighbor's face? Your coworker's clothes? When it moves like someone you knew? Training people to overcome that hesitation is impossible in the time frame we have. People will learn through necessity, through survival instinct overriding psychological barriers. Or they'll die because hesitation cost them the 2 seconds between life and death. 3:11 p.m. The CDC has issued a national statement. Sarah's pulling it up on her laptop right now. Reading it to me. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is aware of unusual medical incidents being reported in multiple metropolitan areas across the United States. We are investigating a potential infectious disease outbreak of unknown origin. Preliminary analysis suggests a pathogen with rapid onset symptoms, including high fever, extreme aggression, and severe neurological dysfunction. The mode of transmission is currently under investigation, but appears to involve fluid contact, particularly through bite wounds. Citizens are advised to avoid contact with symptomatic individuals and report any incidents to local health authorities immediately. Further updates will be provided as information becomes available. Multiple metropolitan areas across the United States. This is not localized to our city. Los Angeles is reporting incidents. New York, Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, Seattle, Miami, Denver, every major population center is experiencing the same pattern within the same time frame. Whatever this pathogen is, it's distributed nationally. Maybe globally, though international reports are still coming in. The scope is incomprehensible. We're not talking about an outbreak in one city that can be quarantined. We're talking about simultaneous outbreaks across an entire nation, maybe the entire world. How is that possible? How does a pathogen appear everywhere at once? Biological weapon released by terrorists? Environmental contamination from industrial accident? Unknown natural disease with global distribution through modern transportation networks? Deliberate attack by hostile nation-state? We don't know. Speculation is useless and dangerous. All that matters is the result. Millions of people are being exposed simultaneously across vast geographic areas. The medical system cannot handle this volume. The government cannot coordinate response at this scale. We're on our own in ways we've never been before in modern history. The safety net of institutional response is gone. Citizens must take responsibility for their own survival. 3:24 p.m. Sarah and I have been broadcasting for 97 minutes straight. We're establishing a pattern that will maintain for as long as this continues. I'll broadcast while Sarah researches, monitors communications, coordinates with sources, manages incoming calls. Then we'll switch. She broadcasts while I gather information and handle the technical aspects of keeping us on air. Continuous coverage with rotating shifts so neither of us burns out. We can maintain this indefinitely as long as we have power and supplies. And right now, both are holding. The station has backup generators fueled for 72 hours. We have food and water for several days. We're positioned to be long-term information source for this crisis. And listen, if this frequency is helping you get through the afternoon, if you're listening because you need to hear another human voice telling you what's happening, stay tuned. More broadcasts will follow. We're not going anywhere. As long as you need us, we'll be here. That's a promise. 3:37 p.m. First responders are reporting that standard police tactics aren't working against infected individuals. Tasers have no effect. The electrical shock that would incapacitate a normal person doesn't even slow them down. Pepper spray doesn't deter them. They don't react to the pain that would blind and disable a normal suspect. Physical restraint is dangerous because close contact with violent individuals creates bite risk. Officers are getting injured trying to use standard compliance techniques. The only reliable method of stopping infected is severe head trauma or complete incapacitation of motor function. Essentially, you have to destroy brain function or damage the body so severely that movement becomes impossible. This is important tactical information that could save lives. If you're forced to defend yourself against infected, aim for the head. Headshots with firearms. Blunt force trauma to skull with improvised weapons. It's the only target that reliably stops them. Body shots, limb injuries, even normally fatal wounds to torso don't stop them. They keep coming, keep attacking, until brain function ceases. Police officers trained in center mass shooting are having to unlearn muscle memory and retrain for headshots. Citizens with no training need to understand this immediately. The head is the only target that matters. 3:49 p.m. We just lost contact with Jennifer at Westfield Shopping Center. Her phone went to voicemail. Sarah's been trying to reach her every 15 minutes. The calls were going through. Jennifer was answering, updating us on her situation. And now nothing. Either her phone battery died or something worse happened. Sarah's trying not to show it, but I can see she's shaken. We talked to Jennifer, gave her advice, told her to stay hidden, told her help was coming even though we weren't sure help would arrive in time, and now she's silent. We might have just listened to someone die or become infected. Or worse, we gave her hope and it might have been false hope. This is the cost of being the voice on the radio during crisis. You connect with people, try to help them, and then you lose them. And you have to keep broadcasting anyway because others need the same help. Others need the same hope even if it might be false. 4:04 p.m. The sun is still high. It's a beautiful September afternoon. Blue sky, mild temperature, light breeze. The kind of day people would normally be at parks, outdoor cafes, sporting events, enjoying the last days of summer. Instead, they're barricading themselves in homes, fleeing the city in gridlock traffic, fighting for survival in shopping malls and office buildings and hospitals. The disconnect between the beauty of the day and the horror unfolding is surreal. Nature doesn't care about our outbreak, doesn't pause for our crisis. The world continues its cycles. We're the ones who've changed. We're the ones whose reality has shattered. 4:17 p.m. We're approaching hour 3 of confirmed outbreak. 3 hours since the first incident at Central Metro. In that time, we've gone from one hospital patient attacking a nurse to hundreds of incidents citywide. The doubling time appears to be approximately 30 minutes. One infected creates 2 new infected. 2 create 4. 4 create 8. Exponential growth. If this continues unchecked, if we don't interrupt the transmission chain, by midnight we could be looking at tens of thousands of infected. By tomorrow morning, hundreds of thousands. The mathematics are absolutely terrifying. The only variable that could slow this geometric progression is intervention, military response, systematic quarantine, organized elimination of infected before they spread further. But coordinating that level of response takes time, takes organization, takes resources we might not have, takes infrastructure that might already be compromised. And every hour of delay means exponentially more infected. We're in a race between outbreak growth and response mobilization. And right now, based on everything we're seeing, the outbreak is winning. Part 2. The collapse accelerates 4:23 p.m. to 7:28 p.m. 4:23 p.m. The National Guard has been activated. Governor declared state of emergency 47 minutes ago. Military units are mobilizing across the state. But deployment takes time that we don't have. Troops need to be recalled from leave, equipped with appropriate gear, briefed on the situation, transported to deployment zones. Best case scenario, we're looking at National Guard presence on city streets in 6 to 8 hours. That's midnight at earliest. And a lot can happen between now and midnight. A lot is happening right now while we wait for military response. Captain Jennifer Martinez from the National Guard is providing a statement on emergency channels. Sarah's patching it through our broadcast. This is Captain Martinez, National Guard Public Affairs Office. We are aware of the ongoing crisis situation in multiple metropolitan areas. Military personnel are being deployed to assist law enforcement in maintaining public order and protecting civilian populations. Our priority is establishing safe zones where uninfected individuals can shelter. These locations will be defended perimeters with medical screening, food and water distribution, and security provided by National Guard personnel. We will provide updates on safe zone locations as they become available. In the meantime, citizens should shelter in place, avoid contact with infected individuals, and await further instructions from authorities. Shelter in place. That's the official guidance from military command. But what if infected are already in your building? In your apartment complex? In your neighborhood? What if sheltering in place means being trapped with the very thing you're trying to avoid? The advice assumes a level of safety that many people simply don't have. They're making do with imperfect guidance in impossible situations, following orders that might get them killed, because the orders are designed for scenarios that don't match ground truth. 4:39 p.m. Dr. Chun is calling in again with updated medical information based on 3 hours of treating patients and observing infection progression. We've identified the primary transmission vector with high confidence: bites. The pathogen is present in saliva at high concentrations and transfers through broken skin. Deep wounds appear to result in faster symptom onset. Scratches may also pose infection risk if they break skin and have saliva contact from infected individuals. Initial symptoms appear within 5 to 15 minutes of exposure, depending on severity of wound and viral load transmitted. We're seeing rapid onset fever, typically 103 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Severe aggression that overrides normal behavioral inhibitions. Progressive cognitive decline where higher brain functions shut down, but motor control remains intact. Death occurs within 30 minutes to 2 hours post-infection, depending on individual factors we haven't identified yet. Reanimation follows 2 to 5 minutes after clinical death. There is no known treatment. No cure, no method of stopping disease progression once infected. If you are bitten, death is certain. The only choice is how you spend your remaining time. No cure. That's the statement that changes everything for anyone who's been exposed. Getting bitten is not an injury you recover from. It's not an illness you fight off. It's a death sentence, guaranteed, within hours. And then you become one of them. You become the threat. The thing that spreads infection to others. The psychological weight of that knowledge is crushing for anyone who's been bitten. They know they're dead. They know they'll turn. The only question is whether they die alone, die fighting, or die trying to protect others from what they'll become. 4:56 p.m. We're getting reports of community defense organizing in real time. A residential block on the north side has barricaded their street. 30 families working together. They've blocked vehicle access with cars positioned bumper to bumper across both ends of the street. Posted guards at the makeshift entry points. Created a defended perimeter where residents can move relatively safely within the block boundaries. It's organized, coordinated, effective. They're proving that community-level response works when official response is delayed or absent. Other neighborhoods are watching and following the model. Self-organizing into defensive units. Creating local security without waiting for police or military. Pooling resources. Sharing weapons and supplies. The government can't protect everyone simultaneously. But people can protect themselves if they work together. We're seeing social organization emerge spontaneously from crisis. Communities forming not through planning, but through shared survival necessity. It's human nature responding to threat the way our ancestors did. Tribal organization. Collective defense. It's our evolutionary heritage activating under pressure. And it's our best chance at large-scale survival when institutional response can't reach everyone. 5:14 p.m. The first evacuation convoys are leaving the city. Not government organized. These are civilian initiatives. Groups of families pooling vehicles, supplies, weapons, knowledge. Creating defended mobile groups heading to rural areas where infection density should theoretically be lower. It's rational strategy based on sound logic. Cities are death traps during pandemics. High population density means high infection density. Lots of targets for infected to hunt. Rural areas have space. Distance between people. Lower baseline population that translates to lower infected population. If you can reach the countryside, establish a defensible position, your survival odds improve significantly compared to staying in urban combat zones. But convoys face serious challenges that many people aren't considering in their rush to evacuate. Fuel shortages are developing as everyone tries to fill tanks simultaneously. Road blockages from accidents and abandoned vehicles. Infected encounters during mandatory stops for fuel or rest. Group coordination failures when stress fractures social cohesion. Sarah's monitoring social media and seeing both success stories and absolute disasters. One convoy of 15 vehicles made it 80 miles to farmland, established a community, everyone survived. Another convoy broke down after 20 miles when they ran out of fuel. The group scattered. Most were killed by infected during the breakdown. Evacuation is high risk. But staying in infected urban areas might be higher risk. Terrible choices. No obviously correct options. Just different gambles on survival. 5:33 p.m. Power fluctuations across the grid. The lights in our studio dimmed for 3 seconds. Our emergency generators kicked in automatically, then shut down when main power returned. The grid is destabilizing. Too many facilities abandoned by workers fleeing infection. Too few personnel maintaining critical infrastructure. Not enough coordination to keep complex interdependent systems running when society is collapsing. Power failure is inevitable at this point. The only question is when? Tonight? Tomorrow? Next week? We need to prepare mentally and practically for operating in total darkness. No electricity. No lights. No electronic communication except battery and solar-powered equipment that we're already relying on as backup systems. Sarah's checking our supplies at the broadcast station. We have backup generators with 72 hours of fuel at current consumption rates. Solar panels on the roof that can power essential equipment indefinitely if they remain undamaged and we maintain them properly. Battery banks providing 48 hours of broadcast capability without generators or solar. Food supplies for 5 days for 2 people. Water for 7 days. We can continue broadcasting even if the city grid fails completely. We have redundancy, multiple backup systems, but our range will decrease without full power amplifying our signal. Fewer people will hear us. The communication network will fragment. Still, something is better than nothing. As long as we can transmit any signal at all, we're helping people survive. 5:49 p.m. The mayor is holding a press conference. Sarah's putting the audio feed on our broadcast. Mayor Catherine Walsh at the podium, flanked by police chief and emergency management director. She looks exhausted, scared, reading from prepared statement with shaking hands. We are experiencing an unprecedented medical emergency. Emergency services are overwhelmed beyond capacity. Hospitals are unable to accept new patients. I am implementing the following measures effective immediately. Citywide curfew from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Closure of all non-essential businesses. Restriction of vehicle traffic to emergency services only. Mandatory evacuation of downtown core to reduce infection density. The National Guard will enforce these measures starting at deployment. Violators will be detained for public safety. This is not a suggestion. This is a direct order. For your safety and the safety of others, comply with all official instructions. Curfew, mandatory evacuation. Martial law in all but name. The civil government is suspending normal operations. Transferring effective authority to military command. It's admission that civilian systems cannot handle this crisis. That military force is the only option remaining. Democracy pauses during catastrophe. Temporarily, we hope. But history shows that emergency powers granted during crisis don't always get relinquished when emergencies end. The precedent being set right now will have implications for years if we survive long enough to worry about political implications. 6:07 p.m. The infected count is estimated at 3,000 citywide, based on incident reports and modeling. Up from dozens 3 hours ago. The growth rate is slowing slightly because the easily infected population is already exposed and turned. The remaining uninfected are the ones who heard warnings, took precautions seriously, isolated themselves quickly, or got lucky enough to avoid initial contact. They're harder to reach for infected hunting behavior. The infection is encountering resistance. It's still spreading, absolutely still spreading. But the exponential curve is starting to flatten as it hits natural barriers. We might stabilize around 5 to 10,000 infected instead of the hundreds of thousands we initially feared. That's still catastrophic, still overwhelming for response services. But it's survivable on city scale if we can contain and eliminate the infected population before they breed more infections. 6:23 p.m. Sarah just told me something that's been weighing on her for the last hour. Her parents live on the south side of the city. She's been trying to call them for 4 hours. No answer. Phone's going straight to voicemail. Could be network congestion. Could be battery failure. Could be they evacuated without their phones. Could be worse. She doesn't know if they're safe, evacuated, infected, or dead. She's holding it together professionally. Still broadcasting when it's her shift. Still coordinating information flow. Still helping strangers survive. But I can see the fear underneath. The not knowing is sometimes worse than bad news. At least bad news provides closure. Lets you grieve and move forward. Uncertainty is psychological torture that never ends. I want to tell her to go, to leave the station, to find her parents. But I also know that leaving means exposing herself to massive infection risk on city streets. Means potentially dying before she finds them. And if she finds them infected, then what? Can she kill her own parents if they're turned? Can she survive that emotionally, even if she survives physically? These are impossible choices. Stay safe and live with uncertainty forever. Or risk death for possible closure that might be worse than not knowing. There's no right answer. There's no good answer. There's just terrible options, and the choice of which terrible option you can live with. 6:41 p.m., the first confirmed infection in our building. Someone on the 3rd floor. Office worker who didn't evacuate when lockdown was announced. They attempted to commute home during gridlock, were attacked in their vehicle during traffic jam, made it back to the office before symptoms fully manifested. They turned inside their locked office, started attacking the door, security responding. We can hear gunshots through the building's walls, 3 shots. Sharp reports echoing through the stairwells, then silence. Then security announcing over building intercom system. 3rd floor is clear. Infected individual has been neutralized. All personnel remain in locked offices until further notice. Do not open doors for anyone claiming to be security. We will identify ourselves with proper codes before requesting entry. Neutralized. That's the term we're using now. Not killed, neutralized. Because you can't kill something that's already dead. You can only stop it. Destroy enough of its brain that motor function ceases. Prevent it from causing further harm. It's semantics, linguistic gymnastics. But semantics matter when you're trying to maintain sanity while documenting the end of the world. Word choice affects mental state. Neutralized feels clinical, professional, less emotionally loaded than killed, even though functionally they mean the same thing. We've been on air for nearly 5 hours now. 5 hours of continuous crisis coverage. And I know some of you have been listening the entire time. I can see the call volume, the texts coming in, the emails flooding our system. You're out there, hiding in your homes, in your offices, in whatever safe space you could find. And you're listening because the voice on the radio makes you feel less alone. Because knowing that someone else is out there fighting to survive makes your fight feel less hopeless. If this frequency is helping you get through the collapse, if knowing that someone else is documenting this nightmare proves you're not crazy for being terrified, stay tuned. More broadcasts will follow through the night and into tomorrow. We're building something here. A network of survivors who refuse to go quietly. You're part of that now. We're surviving together. 7:04 p.m. Sunset in 38 minutes. Darkness changes everything in outbreak scenarios. Visibility drops dramatically. Fear increases proportionally. People make mistakes when they can't see clearly. When every shadow might be infected. When every sound could be threat or salvation, and you can't distinguish until it's too late. Infected are just as dangerous in the dark as in daylight. Their behavior doesn't change with illumination levels, but survivors become dramatically more vulnerable. We can't see them coming until they're close enough to attack. We lose the distance that provides reaction time. Night is when defenses fail, when people panic, when mistakes compound into fatalities, when survival becomes exponentially harder. Captain Martinez is broadcasting new guidance for nighttime survival specifically. Darkness provides cover for both infected and survivors. Use it strategically. If you must move during night hours, do so silently. Avoid any lights that make you visible against darkness. Listen carefully for infected movement before yours. They're not quiet. They shamble, moan, bump into objects. If you hear them, freeze completely. Assess direction and distance before deciding whether to hide or flee. Most importantly, do not sleep without securing your position. Barricade doors with furniture. Create noise traps using cans or bottles that alert you to intrusions. Sleep in shifts if you're in groups. Always have someone on watch. Assume infected are actively hunting you during darkness. Because they are. 7:19 p.m. We're getting reports that some infected are exhibiting what appears to be learning behavior. Not intelligence, but pattern recognition at basic level. They're avoiding areas where many infected have been destroyed previously, concentrating in areas with more successful attacks. It's not strategic thinking. It's more like wildlife migration toward food sources, toward prey. They're adapting, not consciously, but through something like natural selection operating in compressed time frame. Infected that hunt effectively in certain areas survive long enough to remain active. Others are destroyed quickly. The surviving infected congregate in productive hunting grounds. Learn through repetition which areas to focus on. It's terrifying because it suggests they'll get harder to predict over time. Harder to avoid using static patterns. We'll need to randomize our behaviors. Change routes, vary schedules. Avoid predictability that intelligent predators exploit, and even unintelligent predators can learn to exploit through trial and error. 7:28 p.m. The power grid just failed across downtown. We watched it happen on traffic cameras before they went offline. Lights going out block by block in cascading failure pattern. The city's electrical infrastructure is collapsing. Our generators kicked in automatically within milliseconds. We have power. We're still broadcasting. But the city below us is entering night without electricity. No streetlights, no traffic signals. No lights in windows, no illuminated signs. Complete darkness except for scattered fires burning in uncontrolled locations where no fire department responds. This is what collapse looks like, not dramatic explosion. Not sudden catastrophe, just systematic failure. One system after another shutting down because no one's maintaining them. Because the people who keep infrastructure running have fled or died or become infected. Power, water, communications, transportation, medical, food distribution. Each one dependent on the others. Each one requiring constant human oversight. When humans flee or die or turn into something that can't maintain complex systems, everything fails. Civilization requires continuous active maintenance. Remove the maintenance and everything falls apart surprisingly quickly. We're learning that lesson in real time. We built a world that requires constant work to sustain. And when the work stops, the world stops. Part 3. The first night falls, 7:35 p.m. to 10:47 p.m. 7:35 p.m. Full darkness now. The sun has set. The city is completely black except for fires burning in maybe 40 locations visible from our 4th floor windows. We're watching from the broadcast station. Downtown looks apocalyptic. Orange flames reflect off glass buildings. Smoke obscures the stars. No car lights moving. No street lights. No signs of organized human activity. Just scattered fires and vast darkness. We estimate maybe 30% of the city still has power from independent generators. The rest is dark. And in that darkness, thousands of infected are hunting. Sarah's monitoring the emergency radio frequencies. Police, fire, EMS, all are reporting they're critically overwhelmed. A dispatcher just announced they're no longer responding to infected individual calls, only responding to fires that threaten occupied structures and mass casualty events with 10 or more victims. Single incidents are being triaged out completely. If you call 911 because an infected is trying to break into your home, help isn't coming, you're on your own. The official response has collapsed. Citizens are now solely responsible for their own defense. The social contract of government providing security in exchange for taxes and compliance is broken. We're in state of nature now. Survival of whoever can defend themselves effectively. 8:23 p.m. The National Guard has established their first safe zone, Northside Community Center. Capacity for 2,000 people. Captain Martinez is broadcasting the location and admission criteria. Northside Safe Zone is now operational at the Community Center on Riverside Drive and Maple Street. We are accepting uninfected civilians. Security screening is mandatory at entry. Anyone showing symptoms of fever, aggression, or other infection indicators will be denied entry for the safety of others inside. Anyone bitten within the last 6 hours will be denied entry due to incubation risk. We cannot risk infection inside the safe zone perimeter. Bring identification, any medications you require for chronic conditions, and minimal personal belongings. Food and water will be provided. Medical care is available for non-infected injuries and illness. The safe zone is defended by armed National Guard personnel with orders to protect the perimeter. Approach from the west entrance only. Follow all instructions from security personnel. Failure to comply will result in denied admission. It's hope. Real, tangible refuge for people who can reach it safely. But denied entry if bitten is death sentence for anyone infected. The bitten are condemned. Turned away to die alone or in infected company. It's necessary for protecting the uninfected population inside. It's cruel to individuals who are suffering and dying. It's the calculus of outbreak survival. Sacrifice the infected to protect the uninfected. Triage at population scale. There's no other option that preserves maximum lives. Trying to save everyone means losing everyone when infection spreads inside safe zones. Hard choices. Terrible choices. Necessary choices that will haunt the people making them forever if they survive long enough to process the trauma. 8:47 p.m. We're fielding calls from people trapped in their homes with infected family members. The psychological horror of these situations is beyond anything I imagined when we went into emergency broadcast mode. A woman named Lisa is on the line right now. Her husband was bitten 4 hours ago during an attempted supply run to a neighborhood grocery store. He made it home. He's showing symptoms now. Fever of 104 degrees. Becoming confused, aggressive. He's locked in the bedroom. She's in the living room with their 2 children, ages 6 and 9. She's asking what she should do. How long until he turns completely? What happens when he does? Whether there's any chance he might not turn. Whether she should try to get help somehow. What she should tell the children about their father. Sarah's trying to provide guidance while maintaining composure. Lisa, I need you to understand that based on what we know from medical professionals, symptoms appear within minutes of being bitten. Full transformation to infected state occurs within 30 minutes to 2 hours depending on individual factors. If your husband was bitten 4 hours ago and he's still conscious, still somewhat himself, that's unusual. But it means time is running out very soon. You need to prepare for the possibility that he'll turn completely. When he does, he won't be your husband anymore. He'll try to break out of that bedroom. He'll try to reach you and the children, not because he wants to hurt you, but because the infection controls behavior completely. You need to leave before that happens. Take the children. Take whatever supplies you can carry. Get to the safe zone at Northside if you can reach it. I know this is impossible. I know this is your husband, but staying endangers your children. You have to choose between watching your husband die and saving your children's lives. Lisa's crying. We can hear it through the phone connection. He's my husband. We've been married for 11 years. I can't just leave him. What if he fights it? What if he's strong enough? What if there's a cure, and we give up too soon? Sarah, gently but firmly. The medical evidence shows that everyone who's bitten turns. There are no exceptions we've documented. No one has fought it off. No one has recovered. I understand what you're feeling. But I need you to understand that hope for your husband is not rational hope at this point. It's hope that will get you and your children killed. I can't tell you what to do. I can only tell you what the data shows. And the data says he will turn. And when he does, he will attack you. Please, Lisa, for your children. You have to go. The call ends abruptly. We don't know if Lisa left. Don't know if she stayed. Don't know if she and her children are alive or if they died because she couldn't abandon her husband. This is the emotional toll of being emergency broadcasters during apocalypse. We give advice that might save lives or might not. We tell people to abandon loved ones, to accept that family members are lost. We're asking people to make choices that will haunt them forever if they survive. But the alternative is dying with their loved ones instead of living without them. Survival requires terrible choices, and we're the voice telling people they need to make those choices. That burden is crushing. 9:14 p.m., the safe zone reached capacity. 2,000 people inside. Captain Martinez is announcing they're turning away new arrivals. The people who made it inside are protected. The people who didn't are being sent away with directions to potential alternate shelter locations that may or may not be viable. We're watching on traffic cameras that are still operational on backup power. Crowds at the gates. National Guard soldiers in full combat gear with rifles denying entry. People begging, crying, some offering money for admission, some offering services, some just pleading for mercy, being turned away regardless, having to walk away from their last known hope of safety. Watching people walk away from refused refuge is devastating. Some will find other shelter, will adapt, will survive through resourcefulness. Others won't, will die in the streets or be infected within hours. The safe zone is saving 2,000 people, but it's condemning thousands more who couldn't make it in time or who arrived after capacity was reached. More terrible choices. More triage at population scale. 9:33 p.m. We're receiving reports of successful defense from the neighborhood barricade. On the north side that organized this afternoon, they repelled an infected attack. Approximately 30 infected tried to breach their perimeter. The neighborhood defense team engaged with firearms and improvised weapons. All 30 infected were destroyed with headshots and blunt force trauma. 0 civilian casualties. 0 new infections among defenders. It's proof that organized groups with weapons and clear tactics can defend themselves effectively against infected. The neighborhood is celebrating their victory. They survived their first major test. They protected their families. They proved that humans can fight back successfully with proper preparation and coordination. But here's what's concerning about this report. Where did 30 infected come from moving as a group? That's coordinated movement suggesting pack behavior, not random wandering. Not individuals stumbling into the same area independently. 30 infected moving together toward the same target suggests they're following each other somehow. Creating swarms through simple following behavior. Individual infected are dangerous but manageable with proper weapons and training. Swarms of 30 or 40 or 50 infected are overwhelming even for well-armed defenders. If infected are developing pack behavior, static defenses might not hold against large enough groups. We need to understand the behavior patterns more thoroughly. Need to know if this is random clustering or if there's some kind of coordination mechanism we haven't identified yet. Knowledge of enemy behavior is survival advantage we desperately need. 10:04 p.m. Dr. Chun has been studying destroyed infected corpses brought to the hospital before lockdown. He's finding something important about the pathogen mechanism. I've examined tissue samples from neutralized infected individuals. The pathogen is restructuring cellular function at the neurological level. It's keeping motor neurons active while shutting down higher brain functions. The cerebral cortex shows massive cell death. That's where consciousness, memory, emotion, reasoning occur. But the brainstem and motor cortex remain active. That's why infected have movement and basic sensory input, but no consciousness, no memory, no emotion. They're biological machines optimized for one function, spreading infection through bites. They don't feel pain because pain is processed in brain regions the pathogen shuts down. They don't stop attacking because survival instinct is located in inactive regions. They're single-purpose organisms. Hunt, bite, infect. That's all they do. All they can do. Understanding the enemy helps us fight them more effectively. Infected aren't supernatural. They're not magic. They're biological organisms. Cells and tissues operating under pathogen control. Destroy the brain, you stop the infection. It's not mystical. It's not zombies in the supernatural sense that violates physics. It's disease creating behavior that resembles zombie mythology, but with biological basis we can study. That means we can fight it with biological means. Maybe not cure at this stage, but we can understand, predict, counter, develop tactics that exploit vulnerabilities in the infection mechanism. Knowledge is survival advantage. Information is weapon. The more we learn about infected behavior and biology, the better we can defend against them. 10:29 p.m. Sarah's monitoring social media feeds that are still accessible with backup power and cellular networks. Videos are circulating of infected behavior shot by survivors with phones. Hundreds of clips from people hiding in buildings and vehicles. The footage confirms what Dr. Chen described. Infected move toward sound and movement with single-minded determination. They exhibit no pain response when shot in the torso or limbs. They continue attacking until brain is destroyed or body damage prevents movement. But there's something else visible in the videos that's concerning. The infected are moaning constantly, making low vocalizations, not speech, not words, just sustained moaning sounds, like they're calling to each other. Like the moans serve some kind of communication or signaling purpose we don't understand yet. Dr. Chun has a theory he's developing. The moaning might be acoustic signaling. Infected locating each other through sound. Creating coordination without conscious thought or intelligence. Similar to how ants follow pheromone trails without understanding what they're doing. Infected might follow moan sounds to sources of activity. Where one infected finds prey and attacks, the sounds of attack attract other infected. It creates concentration and pack behavior without pack intelligence. Emergent behavior from simple rules. Follow the moans. Attack what moves. That's all they need to be devastatingly effective predators. If Dr. Chen's theory is correct, and the video evidence seems to support it, then isolated infected are least dangerous. Small groups are more dangerous. Large swarms are potentially impossible to survive without major firepower or completely secure positions. Strategy becomes, avoid areas with multiple infected moaning, engage only solitary ones if absolutely necessary, never make noise that attracts groups. Silence is survival. Sound is death sentence. We need to broadcast this tactical information immediately so people understand that gunfire, yelling, anything loud attracts infected from potentially large distances. 10:47 p.m. We're approaching midnight. End of day 1. 12 hours since the first incident at Central Metro Hospital. In that time, the city has fallen. Not completely. Not total annihilation, but substantially compromised. We estimate 5,000 to 8,000 infected citywide based on incident reports and modeling. 2,000 people in the National Guard safe zone. Maybe 40,000 to 50,000 people still in their homes, barricaded, hiding, defending. Another 80,000 to 100,000 evacuated to rural areas via convoys and individual vehicles. That's roughly 150,000 to 160,000 accounted for. Our metropolitan population was 800,000 people. Where are the other 640,000? Dead, infected, unaccounted for in areas we can't monitor or communicate with. The casualty rate is catastrophic. We've lost 75 to 80% of our population in 12 hours. 3/4 of everyone who woke up this morning is dead or infected by midnight. The scope of loss is incomprehensible. Part 4. Midnight approaches. 10:54 p.m. to 12 a.m. 10:54 p.m. 6 minutes until midnight. 6 minutes until day 2 officially begins. Sarah and I are taking stock of what we've documented today, what we've witnessed, what we've survived. This morning we woke up in a normal world, went to work at a radio station, planned to broadcast regular programming, music, talk shows, traffic reports, weather, normal content for normal times, and then at 12:33 p.m., everything changed. A patient at a hospital became violent. That single incident triggered a cascade that destroyed our entire city's social structure in less than 12 hours. We've been broadcasting for over 11 hours now, with brief breaks to switch positions and maintain equipment. 11 hours of continuous emergency information. Coordinating survivors, providing tactical guidance, connecting people who needed help with resources that might save them. Documenting the fall in real time. We're exhausted. Physically drained from the stress and pace. Emotionally shattered from the calls we've taken and the stories we've heard. But we're still functional. Still on air. Still providing the information that keeps people alive. 11:04 p.m. Power failures are spreading across the remaining areas that had backup generation. More neighborhoods going completely dark. Our generators are holding steady, but fuel consumption is concerning. Sarah's been calculating usage rates carefully. At current consumption running all broadcast equipment plus lighting and climate control, we have 68 hours of generator power remaining. That takes us to Thursday afternoon. After that, we become dependent on solar charging during daylight, which provides maybe 6 hours of broadcast time per day. We'll need to plan for reduced transmission schedule when generator fuel depletes. Maybe 4 hours in morning when batteries are charged from overnight solar collection. 4 hours in evening. Off air during midday while batteries recharge from panels. It's not ideal, but it's sustainable long term if the equipment holds up. 11:12 p.m. The neighborhood barricade is under attack again. Second assault of the night. Larger group this time. Their radio operator is reporting estimate of 70 to 80 infected approaching from multiple directions. That's more than twice the size of the first attack. The defenders are preparing for major combat. We can hear the tension in their voices on the radio, checking ammunition counts, assigning firing lanes, coordinating defensive positions. They're trained now from the first attack. They know what works. But 70 infected is a massive number compared to 30. The volume might overwhelm them through sheer numbers, even if their tactics are sound. The infected assault begins at 11:17 p.m. Gunfire erupts immediately. Multiple shooters firing in coordinated pattern. We can hear it through their radio transmission. The sharp crack of rifles, the deeper boom of shotguns. Shouted coordinates between defenders. They're fighting hard, fighting smart, calling targets to avoid shooting the same infected twice, maintaining fire discipline to conserve ammunition. But the infected keep coming, keep pushing forward even as defenders drop them with headshots. The sheer volume is testing the barricade's ability to maintain defensive fire rate. One defender goes down at 11:22 p.m. We hear it happen on the radio. Someone screaming, "Marcus is hit." Marcus was bitten while reloading. Infected got close enough to grab him during the 2-second window when his rifle was empty. His teammates pull him back from the defensive line immediately. They know what bite means. They know he's condemned. Marcus is begging them to let him keep fighting, saying he has at least 30 minutes before he turns, saying he can still shoot, can still help, can die fighting instead of hiding. They're letting him stay on the line, giving him the choice, respecting his autonomy in his final minutes before infection takes him. It's mercy. It's horrible. It's the best they can offer. The assault continues for 18 brutal minutes. We're listening to every second. Hearing defenders shout ammunition counts. Hearing them coordinate target priorities. Hearing their fear and determination mixed together. And then at 11:35 p.m., the infected withdraw. Not routed, not defeated comprehensively. They just stop attacking. The survivors destroyed approximately 50 of the 70 infected. 20 broke off and wandered away. The defenders held their position, but the cost is severe. 3 defenders were bitten during the assault. Marcus, who stayed on the line fighting. Jennifer Park, a 34-year-old teacher who tried to help Marcus when he was grabbed. Robert Hayes, a retired construction worker who got too close during hand-to-hand combat when his shotgun jammed. All 3 made the decision to self-terminate rather than turn and endanger their community. They used their own weapons. Quick shots to their own heads. Choosing death with dignity over transformation into infected. Heroes who sacrificed everything to protect their neighbors. Their names need to be remembered. Marcus Kim, Jennifer Park, Robert Hayes. Sarah's recording them in our broadcast log, documenting the fallen. Someone needs to honor their sacrifice. Someone needs to remember they existed and fought and died to save others. 11:37 p.m. The safe zone is reporting that they're dealing with potential infection inside the perimeter. Someone who passed screening at entry is now showing symptoms. Fever, aggression. They either lied about being bitten or were infected through some vector we don't understand yet. Maybe scratches we didn't know could transmit. Maybe saliva contact through mucous membranes without visible wounds. Whatever the mechanism, there's infected individual inside the safe zone with 2,000 uninfected people. It's the nightmare scenario that justifies the harsh screening protocols. Captain Martinez is handling it decisively. Security is isolating this symptomatic individual. They're being moved to quarantine facility away from general population. Medical evaluation is in progress. If infection is confirmed, the individual will be humanely euthanized before full transformation. We cannot risk outbreak inside the safe zone. I understand this is difficult, but protecting 2,000 people requires sacrificing one person if necessary. That's the calculation we're making. Martinez out. Humanely euthanized. That's the euphemism for execution. For killing someone who's infected before they can turn and spread infection. It's murder by technical legal definition. It's also survival necessity by practical reality definition. The person is already dead from the infection. Execution just accelerates the timeline and prevents them from becoming threat to others. But the person being executed is still conscious, still human, still aware they're about to be killed. The psychological horror of that situation is beyond comprehension. Knowing you're infected, knowing you're going to turn, knowing that people you thought were protecting you are about to shoot you to protect themselves. The infected individual has no good options. Die now from execution or die in 30 minutes and become monster. Both options are death. One is just faster. 11:46 p.m. We're 14 minutes from midnight. 14 minutes from day 2. Sarah and I are discussing what tomorrow might bring. Will day 2 be like day 1? More chaos and collapse? Or will it stabilize as survivors adapt to new reality? Will the National Guard establish more safe zones? Will the infected population grow or stabilize or start declining? Will power be restored or will we remain in darkness indefinitely? Will communications networks hold or will we lose more connectivity? We don't know. We're guessing, extrapolating from incomplete data, making predictions that might be completely wrong. But people need something to prepare for. Need to know what tomorrow might look like, even if our predictions are inaccurate. Our best assessment. Day 2 will be stabilization day. The initial chaos is over. Survivors who made it through day 1 are the ones who adapted quickly, made smart decisions, got lucky, or some combination of all 3. The people who denied reality or froze or panicked are mostly dead or infected by now. What remains is hardened survivor population. People who know how to hide, fight, or run effectively. Tomorrow they'll consolidate positions, organize defenses. Start thinking beyond immediate survival to sustain survival. The infected population will grow, but at slower rate than today. Maybe 50% growth instead of 500%. We might reach 10 to 12,000 infected by end of day 2. Still growing, but approaching plateau as easily accessible prey becomes scarce. 11:52 p.m. 8 minutes to midnight. 8 minutes until we can officially say we survived day 1. Sarah's preparing her notes for the midnight announcement. She wants to mark the transition, acknowledge what we've been through, honor the fallen, give hope to the survivors listening. She's writing it now while I maintain the broadcast. I can see her crying as she writes. Not loud sobbing, just tears streaming down her face while she types. The emotional weight of everything we've witnessed today is crushing her, crushing both of us, but she's still functional, still working, still fighting to help others even while processing her own trauma. 11:54 p.m., 6 minutes. The neighborhood barricade is conducting roll call, accounting for their people after the attack. They started the day with 37 defenders across 11 families. They're down to 31 now, 6 casualties total. 3 infected and self-terminated. 2 killed in initial attack when infected breached a weak point in the barricade. 1 died from blood loss after being wounded during combat. 18% casualties in 1 day, but 82% survived. They held their position, proved that organized defense works. They're mourning their dead while celebrating their survival. Both reactions are valid. Both are necessary for processing trauma and maintaining will to continue fighting. 11:56 p.m., 4 minutes. Sarah hands me her midnight announcement script. I'm reading it now. It's beautiful, painful, honest, hopeful without being unrealistic. She's captured what this day meant, what we lost, what we learned, what we need to do tomorrow. I'm going to read it at midnight. Sarah will handle the technical transition. We'll do this together like we've done everything today. Partners in survival, colleagues in crisis, friends facing apocalypse. 11:58 p.m., 2 minutes. I'm looking at the city through our studio windows. Darkness, fires, smoke. No signs of the vibrant metropolitan area that existed this morning. Just ruins and chaos. But somewhere in that darkness are 160,000 survivors. People who made it through day 1. People who refused to give up. People who fought and hid and ran and survived. They're why we're broadcasting. They're why this matters. As long as there are survivors who need information, we'll provide it. As long as there are people listening, we'll talk. That's our commitment. That's our purpose. That's why we're still here after 11 hours and 42 minutes of continuous emergency broadcast. 11:59 p.m., 1 minute. Sarah's giving me the countdown. 60 seconds, 50, 40. The clock on the studio wall ticking down the final minute of day 1, 30 seconds, 20. I'm preparing to read her announcement, to mark this transition, to acknowledge what we've been through and commit to facing what comes next. 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, midnight. This is 98.3 FM, Outbreak FM, David Morgan and Sarah Chun, and we've reached midnight. The end of day 1, the beginning of day 2, 12 hours ago. The world was normal, predictable, safe. And then at 12:33 p.m., a patient at Central Metro Hospital became violent. That single incident triggered a cascade that destroyed our entire city in half a day. We lost 640,000 people in 12 hours. 3/4 of everyone who woke up this morning is gone. Dead or infected or disappeared into chaos we couldn't track. The scope of loss is incomprehensible. But 160,000 of us survived. 160,000 people who adapted and fought and held on. You're listening right now. You made it. You survived day one. That's victory. That's success. That's proof that survival is possible, even when the world ends. Sarah and I survived too. We've been broadcasting for nearly 12 hours straight, documenting the collapse, coordinating survivors, providing information that kept people alive. We're exhausted, traumatized, but still functional. Still fighting. Day 2 begins now. It will be different from day 1. The initial chaos is over. Survivors are organized, defended, learning. The infected are numerous, but their growth is slowing. We're reaching equilibrium. Infected control certain areas. Survivors control others. We're adapting to new reality. Learning to survive in a world divided between living and dead. Tomorrow we'll consolidate, strengthen defenses. Start thinking beyond immediate survival to long-term sustainability. We'll help each other, coordinate resources, build the networks that keep us alive. We want to thank everyone who's been listening today, everyone who called in with reports, everyone who shared information, everyone who trusted us to tell the truth, even when the truth was horrible. You're why we broadcast. You're why this matters. And to everyone who's still listening as midnight passes, if this frequency is helping you get through the night, if knowing there are others out there fighting gives you strength to fight too, stay tuned, because we're not done. Day 2 starts now, and we'll broadcast through all of it, every hour, every update, every piece of information that might keep you alive one more day. You're not alone out there. However dark it gets, however hopeless it seems, there are 160,000 of us surviving together, connected by this frequency, united by will to see another sunrise. The sun comes up in 7 hours. We'll make it together. Hold on. Stay hidden. Stay quiet. Stay alive. That's all that matters now. This is Outbreak FM signing off day 1. Beginning day 2. Still here. Still broadcasting. Still human. We survived the apocalypse. Now we survive the aftermath. Together, day 2 begins. See you on the other side of dawn.